Hey guys, welcome back to your third lesson on Java. So today I'll be talking about some primitive data types. So basically primitive data types are just like variables that you can store your stuff into. And if that didn't make sense, I'm about to go into in depth with it a little bit. So let's get straight into it. So first I'm going to initialize a variable of type int. So it means int I equals 3. So this is how you would initialize any int variables. So int variables can only hold integer values. It cannot hold any decimal values, strings of words. It cannot hold anything else other than just single numbers. So suppose we printed this variable I out. So s system dot out dot print ln. If you guys want, you guys can also use print or printf. I'm just using print ln in this example. And then I. And then when we run this, since I is equal to 3, down here in this print statement, we're going to be printing out this variable I, which in turn would mean our final answer would be this number 3, which I is equivalent to. And we check down here, we get that I is indeed equal to 3. Now, suppose we change this, and we made I equal 3.3. Okay? And then we ran this. I don't know if you guys can see it, but down here it has red squiggly lines under it, and this just means that this will not work. And the reason is, if you click on this, it says we required an int data type, but we found a double. So all this means is we're initializing integer value for I, which is what int means, but we're giving it a double data type. And so I'm just gonna back to making this an integer value, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, based on that, I want to teach you guys what a double is. So we have two ways of storing decimals. It's called double and float. First, we're going to start off with double, D-O-U-B-L-E, D. Notice how the I is lowercase in integer and lowercase in D. It's not going to be this way for all data types, but just in int and double are two examples of ones that will be lowercase. Other things that we're going to get to later on in this video, like string and boolean, will actually have to be uppercase. Okay, so we're initializing double D, and we're going to make this equal to 3.2. Okay, and then we're just going to copy this statement over here and print it out over here. So the system.out.print ln and then D. As we can see, we do not have any visible anything wrong visibly in our code over here. We're initializing a double, which is just a number that can hold up to 16 decimal points. And in this example, this is less than 16. So we're getting 3.2 printed back out to the console. Now, in addition to doubles, we have one more way in Java of storing decimal points, and this is called float. So I'll make one variable called float f, and I'm going to set this equal to 3.8, okay, and enter. And then I'm going to try to print out float. So as you guys can see already, we already have an underline over this statement, and it says we have a float data type, but they found a double. This is because floats, although they do store up to 32 decimal points, at the end of any float, we must always make sure to put an F at the end of it. So when we have an F at the end of it, this will effectively take away our error. So while we wait for our thing to pull up, we're going to check, make sure there's no errors. We see that we're good, and when we check down here, oops, I printed out I meant to print out F, that's my bad, guys. So we're seeing that there's no errors on this line for float, so it most likely will be running correctly. And as we see over here, we get 3.8 without any errors, printed to the console. And by the way, guys, this thing where all of our code is showing up, we call this the console. I don't know if we mentioned that in the last video, but I'm just going to clarify this now. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about when I mean console, I'm just talking about this thing over here, which I highlighted. Okay, so another data type that we have is called string. String S equals, for strings, we're using strings of words, so we have to make sure we put them in quotes. So for this, I'm going to spell out 3, right? And then I'm going to put a semicolon at the end of it. But when we're looking at this, we're seeing that this variable string, this data type string, is highlighted in red. And when we look at it, it says cannot resolve symbol string. This is because, unlike integer, double, and float, as I mentioned before, string actually is one of the data types that starts with a capital letter. So when we type in a capital S, it will work. So if you guys want to try this out on your own with your own text editor, if you try typing in string with a lowercase s, it would actually just not work. So yeah, that's just another thing if you guys wanted to know about it. And once again, I'm really stupid and I forgot to print out the string to our console. So I'm just going to do this, print s, run, and yeah. While we wait, we're going to make sure nothing wrong with our code, and when we check console, we get the word 3 spelled out right here. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys two to three more data types in this video. One of the last ones is not going to be really important at all. It's pretty useless if you ask me, but there are some times when you have to use it. So let's start off with Boolean. Just like string, Boolean is another one of those data types where you'll be having to use an uppercase letter in the beginning instead of a lowercase letter. And for my Boolean, I'm just going to say Boolean B, which means Boolean B equals true. Enter. Spell true wrong, T-R-U-E. And then we're going to print Boolean, which is B, and run our code. So with this example, we're setting a variable, which is B, which is of type Boolean, to equal true. And just so you guys know, all Boolean values can either hold a value of true or false, and they are really useful when we're trying to solve some like if statements, while statements, switch statements. I'll get into those statements in like a few more videos, but just to show you guys what they can do, Boolean can also display false, false, and when we run the code, it should work. And there's one more thing you guys should notice. When we had a string over here, we put our words in quotes, like the word 3, we put this in quotes, and we only have to do this for string and chars. Okay, when we have booleans, we do not have to put this word in quotes because it's a Java keyword. Okay, so the next variable I'll be talking about is char. So we're going to have something like char ch equals single quotes a, enter. And then we're going to print out char. And I just wanted to be a bit more creative with my thing this time, so I said ch. And just remember, guys, for any of these variables, you can choose any letter you want. I just chose I. If I wanted, I can change this I to D. I could change this Boolean, chicken nuggets, string, strawberry juice, and float, donuts. It really does not matter. It's just, I'm trying to use these letters just so it's more convenient for me to type in when I'm doing the print statement. But you guys can do anything, whatever you want when you're coding. Okay, so when we typed in char ch equals a, we got the letter a. So basically what a char does is that it's a primitive data type that can only store one single letter. It cannot store more than one single letter or single digit. And this would include spaces. Suppose I said all, A-L-L, you guys will see there's going to be an error. And when we look at it, it says too many characters in the char variable. So I'm just going to get rid of those for now. And here we are, we're at our last data type right now. It's called a long. In my opinion, it's pretty useless, but there are some specific times where you guys might have to use them. So I'm just going to include it in this list anyway. So I want to say long, and then how about L equals, how about 32L, and then print long. The only difference between long and an int is that an int can store only up to like 2 million and some change, 2 million, I think 700,000 and change, but a long can store actually more numbers than that. The only thing with long is that you have to make sure you add an L after your number. Okay. Just to explain how int wouldn't work, I'm just going to add a thing to make it over 2 million, like super long like this. When we see we have a thing that says integer number too large, but for long I'm just going to keep doing the same thing, and you see it's going to actually start working. It's not going to give us an error like that. So like if we were to run this, our code would definitely not work because the integer value is way too large to be stored in an int, and it should probably be stored in some other data type, like long. But we don't usually use any really big numbers in Java for any of our purposes. I'm going to shrink our number down. Yeah. So those are the data types that I wanted to go through with you guys today. If you guys learned something, I would really appreciate it if you guys left a like and a comment down below. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. So peace.